Good morning, everybody. MG here, MGCovers, bringing you a brand new sports handicapping video. Title of this video is Profiting from the 50-50 Game Concept in Sports Betting. We're going to explain what the 50-50 game concept is, give you two examples in NHL, one in NFL. Very easy concept to understand, and it's a concept that is applicable to all sports. Before we do that, as always, if this is your first time watching one of my videos, greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel. A ton of content on here related to sports betting. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm MGCovers, cover spelled with a Z. I've given out a ton of great information here in the last few days on Instagram, my storyline. So things I don't normally want to make a post about or a long video, I'll put on Instagram. So you get a ton of value. Simply follow me on Instagram. Twitter as well. Same screen name, MGCovers, cover spelled with a Z. So let's dive right into it. So the 50-50 game concept is very simple. It's when the team that we're wagering on has at least a 50% chance of winning. Okay? If a team has at least a 50% chance of winning and they are a dog, then that favors us based on the fact that we'll win half of those games. And if we're playing plus dog money, then it will be profitable long term. So there's two types of 50-50 games. One is when you have two bad teams playing each other, and I put quotation marks around bad teams. That's generally the public's perception of those teams, which is what drives the line. So if you have two bad teams playing, the sports books unfortunately are left with the difficult task of making one of those teams a favorite, right? So you'll have one team as a favorite, one team as a dog. So where would the value be? The value would be with the dog. Same concept would apply to two really good teams. So you have, this team over here that's really good, this team over here that's really good. What does the sports books do? They can't make both a favorite. They have to make one the favorite and one the underdog. So where is the value? The value is in the underdog. And more times than not, you'll win about 50% of these. And if you win 50% of them, again, playing plus dog money, it will be profitable long term. So let's look at two examples in NBA. One of these we played. The first one we're going to take a look at is this Detroit-Houston game. Again, it's very simple. So I don't have my model up. And again, this is important. You don't need a stat model. You don't need to be a client to understand this concept. It's just super simple. You can see Detroit's record now was 2-8. So prior to this game from last night, they had only won one game. So by the quote sports betting community, this is not a good team, right? And you can look at their. We're not looking at the game. This is the game that we're going to assess. They lost to Brooklyn, lost to Philly, lost to Milwaukee, lost to Brooklyn, and there was the only win against Orlando, right? So we've established that this is not a good team. All right. However, they were playing Houston, who was also not a good team. You can see Houston's record prior to last night was 1-9, right? So we have, again, by definition, this is a 50-50 game. We have two bad teams, right? So what does the sports books have to do? They have to make one team the favorite, one team the dog. So in this case, if you look over here to the right, they made Houston the favorite. Let's pull up the spread. And it was probably, from a sportsbook perspective, the correct way to approach this line. They made the home team the favorite. Home team does have a little bit of edge in NBA. So you can see there the line was -3, right? Houston. But, and just thinking about it in layman's terms, and this is important. So that was the line, the spread line. Now let's look at the money line. Plus 130 Detroit, and that was at 442. You can look earlier in the day, it was high as plus 145, but let's for now just focus on this 130 number. So the way to sort of process the 50-50 concept, you have Houston Rockets have won one game, they've lost 9. They have lost 90% of their games, but then you could get plus 130 for the team that was playing them. So you're getting plus 130 against a team that has only won 10% of their games. That's the 50-50 concept. It's just that simple. And again, we don't get too deep in, you don't want to get too deep into trying to figure out too much or handicap too deep into this. It's basically a coin flip game. And another way I do it, and if you've been a client for a while, you know this, I'll say, does this team have at least a 50% chance of winning if I was to handicap this deeper? And the answer to that question is absolutely they do. So therefore, the play would have been Detroit. And of course, Detroit won that 112 to 104. All right. So let's take a look at the next 50-50 game. This was the one that we actually played. Let's see if I can slide this over here. OKC and New Orleans. And the reason I'm using record is just so you can see it, because without looking at a stat model, that last example, Detroit, we had Detroit favored. I'm going to show you my NBA power rankings from yesterday. In this game, we had Oklahoma City favored as well. But again, you wouldn't need a stat model to figure this out. Just some basic understanding of numbers and how they work. So OKC was going to the last night's game. They had only won 3 games, so they were 3-6. So they had only won 33% of their games. So that would have been labeled as a, quote, not a good team. But they had won their last 3. That did influence me a little bit in my decision to go with this game here. But again, by the world standards, quote, or sports betting community standards, not a good team. And then we look at their opponent. Same deal. Look at New Orleans. New Orleans had won 1 game, y'all. They were going into the game last night. They were 1-10. 1-10. So let's just focus on New Orleans, right? Forget their opponent. New Orleans was 1-10. They had only won 1 game. And if I told you, forget the opponent, you can play against New Orleans. I'll give you, okay, this team is 1-10. I'll give you plus 155 odds, but I'm not telling you who the team is. Would you take it? Hell yeah, you take it, right? So you're getting plus, and that's the 50-50 concept. You're getting plus 155 against a team that's only won 1 game. You know, that's worth a shot. So again, same deal here. You got 2 bad teams. I would say OKC was probably a little bit better. This is probably being objective. The other line, Houston line, was a pretty good line. This was probably a really bad line considering OKC had form in their favor as well. But again, you wouldn't really need a stat model here. Again, plus 155 against a team that's only won 1 game. And of course, OKC, in fact, did win that one. So that's the 50-50 concept explained using 2 bad teams. Let's look at the 50-50 concept with the Rams. And understand, applying this concept, you are going to lose probably close to half of these games, right? Because it's what we call a coin flip game. But you will be profitable long term, and I'm going to show you an example of that at the end of this video. But let's look at the 50-50 concept. We're going to go to another sport, and that sport is NFL. Whoops. Am I going to be able to do it like this? Wait a minute, I got to move my head around. My bad, y'all. We're going to go to last Sunday night game. And again, you don't need a stat model for this. And let's kind of walk through this. So we're going to look at this Rams Tennessee game. And I wish I should have, I didn't know I was going to make a video on this, but I should have screenshot my power rankings. All right, so Tennessee going into this game was 6-2. So they were going into the game. They were 6-2. So that's a pretty good team. And you take a look at, so this was the game that we're going to look at. They had beat Indianapolis in overtime, blew out KC, beat a really good Buffalo team, blew out Jacksonville, lost to the Jets in OT, beat Indianapolis, second game of the season, beat Seattle in overtime. And their only really, quote, bad loss was Arizona. Okay. So in essence, so let's just take this game away. They had won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They had won 7 of their last 8 games. Is that right? No. 6 out of the last 7. Yeah, let's do it like that. So that spread was throwing me off. So they lost this one here. Yeah. So 1, 2. Oh, wait, I didn't. Didn't mean to count that. My bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they had won 6 out of their last 7. We can establish without any kind of model at all, Tennessee is a good football team, right? And conversely, the team they were playing against, the Rams, was also a good football team. And prior to that game against Tennessee, they were 7-1. So again, we talk about the 50-50 concept. We have 2 really good teams playing here, right? Rams were really good form. Only had 1 bad loss. That was the first game of the season. Rams were 7-1. You can look at their record. Their only loss was, let's see if we can find it here. Yeah, they lost to Arizona as well. So you had 2 really good teams. So what does the sports books have to do? They have to make one of them the favorite. They have to make one of those the dog. And in this case, they decided to make the Rams the favorite, Tennessee the dog, probably because Rams were at home. And a lot of that was the book shaded the line to the LA side simply because Derrick Henry was out. And I think they knew the public would, quote, overreact. Whole nother video. But in essence, here was the deal, y'all. We were getting plus 265 for a team that had won 6 out of the last 7 games. Again, it's a no-brainer. It's a coin flip game. If these 2 teams played each other 10 times, Tennessee would probably win 50% of the time. LA would probably win somewhere around the same amount. So, and of course, Tennessee did win, but that's a huge number there. 2 plus 265 you would have cashed on the 50-50 concept. Now, this comes up in just about every sport. This will come up. You will see this a lot in college basketball. I mean, a lot. You will be able to cash a ton of money line dogs this way, specifically when you have 2 really good teams. So you may have maybe Oklahoma State playing somebody, Kansas, both teams really good, and that underdog, say the line is plus 3.5. The dog will end up being somewhere maybe like plus 150, plus 155. You win half of those, will be profitable long term. And that's what I want to show you in this example here. And what I did was, this is sort of an example of expected value. I don't like using that term because I think it confuses people. But in essence, we're going to apply this 50-50 concept. So let's say we looked at 10 games that were qualified as a 50-50 game and actually used the real lines from these 3 games that we looked at. Tennessee there plus 265 at 1, that Detroit game won at plus 130, and then of course the OKC game at plus 160. But let's say there were other games we lost. We lost these 3. And remember too, this is real important when you're playing the money line dog. If you lose, you pay no juice. That's important and what makes the 50-50 concept work long term. Let's say we won another one here at plus 155. We won this one for plus 125 and then lost 2 more. So we went 5-5, hence the 50-50 concept. And if we add these up, that totals 3.35 units. So you can go 5-5 up 3.35 units. And this is really the way that I teach, the way that I play. And so again, you don't need to have some big stat model. Just use some common sense, understanding sports betting numbers. Apply that 50-50 concept when you see it. If you have 2 really bad teams, sportsbook's going to make one a favorite. You're going to have another one that's going to be the dog. The value will be with the dog. Same deal on the favorite. All right, so now that that's done, I want to show you too, before we go, I want to show you my power rankings from yesterday that include some of these 50-50 concepts. If you want access to my power rankings, you can get that. It's $49.95 per month. You get access to NBA, you get access to NFL, college football, soccer, and we'll have college basketball power rankings, one of my favorite sports to handicap, coming up in December. Just a sample from yesterday. These NBA power rankings have been solid. You can see here, these are my lines here on the left, and I graded these on a 3-point differential. And again, if it's somewhere around 3 to 5, 6-point spread on the spread line, we play that on the money line. You can see here we lost to Orlando, won Boston, cash with Milwaukee at plus 142. Detroit was plus 120. That was a winner. We just used that as an example. Lost Dallas at plus 140. OKC, that was a game we actually played, plus 160. Denver hit at plus 145. Golden State held on there to cover that 7.5. My line was Golden State minus 17. Let me pull this up. Okay, I got it maxed out. You can see it says Miami +1. So Lakers were -1.5 at +183. Very undervalued even with LeBron out. And then, so if you add all that up together, I posted this on Instagram, 7-2 up 7.4 units. The traditional way, if you played, you would have gone 7 minus 2 is 5, but you would have paid juice on those 2 losses. So you would end up end up netting less than 5 units. The points would have helped you in 0 games. What I mean by that is if you would have played the spread lines, there was not a single game where the spread helped you. Why? Average margin of victory in NBA is 11 points. So, again, get access to NBA Power Rankings, same Power Rankings that you saw right there, $49.95 per month. If you want access to that in addition to all of my plays for all sports, that's $99 a month. The best value, can't stress this enough, is the yearly membership. It's $4.99. That gives you access to everything for an entire year. You get access to all of my coaching videos. I post 1 new coaching video per week. I posted 3 new coaching videos this week. Absolutely solid videos. You get to see me handicap 2 NBA slate of games and also an NHL slate of games. Had a lot of client feedback. People really liked that they were able to see me handicap a game. But anyway, so that's there. The link to join is in the description. Don't forget, if you see that 50-50 game, play it. You're going to have a 50-50 chance of winning that game. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.